The race to decide who will lead the Conservative Party and the country is on.
It's within our hands, and if we mess this up, we are going to mess up our country for years to come, especially for the next generation.
After being chosen by their fellow MPs in Westminster, the choice is between Boris Johnson, controversial, popular with many members, and probably the biggest political celebrity this country has ever seen.
I think there are some people who are such Boris Johnson fans that, there could be a video of him kicking a puppy and they'd probably still vote for him.
May the best man win.
And Jeremy Hunt, who replaced his rival as Foreign Secretary last year.
With Jeremy Hunt, we could actually become more of the centre-right party, the compassionate, one-nation Conservatives.
The pair will slug it out over the coming weeks as they try to convince the 160,000 or so Tory party members that they are the right man to lead the country, to resolve Brexit and to beat Jeremy Corbyn's Labour. So who are the people who hold the future of the country in their hands? The average age of a Tory party member is 57, but what about those who will be campaigning for the party in the years to come? The younger activists who the party needs if it's to reflect contemporary Britain. We've been to London, Bedford and the West Midlands to see what they make of Boris Johnson as the race to number 10 hots up. Labour dominates here in the West Midlands. It's also one of the most diverse areas of the country. So is Boris Johnson, a man who's been accused of Islamophobia and playing dog whistle politics, the man that the Tories need to win in places like this? Luke, Saleha, Suhaila, Amina and Tukia are all local party members. So what do they make of Boris Johnson, who's had to apologise for comparing women who wear the burqa to bank robbers and letterboxes?
I think he'd actually be good for us as a party. He's got the charisma, he'd be well liked, I reckon he'd be quite popular, and I reckon if he was going for a general election, he's the best chance we've got at winning.
I cannot see him leading this country on the national stage. I would not want him personally as leader. The man is a racist and he's a philanderer. His personality is not suited to the core values of the Conservative Party.
But Boris Johnson would say he's not a racist. He said about the column that he wrote about women who wear burqas that it was taken out of context, that he was using humour to kind of advance an argument.
It seems like a natural defence for people who go around those things. And remember, these are not the things this is what's said publicly. If you're willing to say that publicly, then what is said privately? What is done behind closed doors?
I don't think he meant any great offence, to be fair. I think it was just a mistake. Yeah, he shouldn't have said it in a public forum.
If he is making, remarks, be it about a letterbox or whatever, all of these things affect us as British ethnic minorities.
There can be no quarrel or qualm about the fact that, it might have been an accident, a misuse of language, hyperbole. He is playing to a base. That is an intentional, strategic plan to this.
An intentional, strategic thing that Boris is trying to do just by making that remark. I don't think he really had any big strategy behind what came out of his mouth at that time.
He's a really intelligent man, and I think he does know the kind of people he's trying to appeal to. Women get attacked every week because they wear headscarves, and I think he should have been much more responsible with the language he chose.
Whoever's announced as our new Prime Minister next month, Brexit will be top of their in tray. As it is in Leave voting areas like Bedford, where Nigel Farage's Brexit party got almost 4 times more votes than the Tories in the recent European elections. Meet Alex, Sam, Matthew and Jack. Most of them are backing Boris Johnson, who's promised to take us out of the EU with or without a deal before the 31st of October, a deadline Jeremy Hunt has dismissed as fake.
For me, the biggest reason is Brexit. I think that I did back Rob, and I think that Boris is the next best candidate to deliver and move it on, really. I don't think Jeremy Hunt has the power to do it.
I think he's the only person, apart from Raab, who was actually positive about a full, clean Brexit, and he's the only person I think that can win an election.
If we were back to normal times, Jeremy Hunt would be the steady figure that we definitely would need as a country, I think.
Looking beyond Brexit, do you have a sense of what either of the candidates want to achieve for the country?
Not really for Boris, no. He's kept quite tight-lipped, really, hasn't he?
He can reach out to areas
like Bedford, a leave voting constituency on the basis of Brexit, but if he continues to fail to set out any kind of policy or any future plans he has, then I think he's going to struggle.
I think what Boris always brings is positivity, and for communities that feel they're left behind, you look at him and he's always like punching the air like we can do it, and I think he will be able to get a movement behind him if he campaigns properly in an election.
People are bored of squeaky clean politicians because actually everyone knows they're not squeaky clean, they're pretending to be squeaky clean, and everyone sees right through it. Boris puts his hand and says, my hands are dirty, I know they're dirty, but actually I'm just doing what I do. And that appeals to people because he's at least honest about who he is, if nothing else.
To a certain extent, people don't want squeaky clean politicians, but you also don't want them dripping in mud.
Concerns about Boris Johnson's private life have, in the media at least, dominated the race so far. But what about for party members? Is it going to be the personal or policy that will decide who they want to put in charge? We're in London, traditionally the home of more liberal-leaning Conservatives, to meet Ellie and Ella.
I think there are some people who are such Boris Johnson fans that there could be a video of him kicking a puppy and they'd probably still vote for him. He is one of those cults of personality, and he does have some very, very die-hard fans in the party.
Boris Johnson, he has this history of affairs, and he's quite free in his sexuality and stuff like that. But I don't think he has a problem with women.
For some people, people's private lives are going to be a really, really big issue, but I think a lot of people are aware at the moment that policy is the most important thing, and we haven't had the policies that people have wanted. We haven't had policies that have kept the government together for a while.
And I think Jeremy Hunt has been quite cautious in how he approaches talking about Boris Johnson, because there is a lot going on in the press at the moment about him. People always say, oh, but does it matter that their private lives come into this? Well, to be honest with you, I'm ignoring that until I hear the policy. It's time for a good shake-up, and it's time to rejuvenate things a little bit from the time that we've had Theresa May in.
The race to become Prime Minister will be run under the shadow of Brexit. Jeremy Hunt has ground to make up with party members, but under intense scrutiny with 3 weeks and 14 campaign hustings to go, he'll be hoping that his image as a safe and steady pair of hands can convince them. For years it's been said the only person who can beat Boris Johnson is Boris Johnson himself. The next few weeks will, at last, answer that question.